All right, guys, happy Thursday. Everything is crazy right now, as always, in the world. First and foremost, Los Angeles, what is happening there? It is essentially burning to the ground. And of course, the issue has grown increasingly political, as it should, by the way. It should grow political because the problem is and always has been our politicians. So we're going to discuss that. Also, I know I'm a couple of days late here, but I desperately need to speak to you guys about Meghan Markle's new Netflix trailer. Please allow me the floor to do that. Also, Mel Gibson just went on Joe Rogan. We haven't heard from him in a very long time. We're going to talk about that. But first, former President Jimmy Carter's funeral was today, and the clips coming out of it are randomly hilarious. Funerals are not supposed to be funny, but please, someone bring in Andy Cohen, Bravo TV, because we are watching the real presidents of America, the reunion special. And there's apparently a lot of drama, just a ton of drama. Let's get started. Welcome back to Candace. All right, so Jimmy Carter's funeral. I feel weird about this. I wasn't expecting to cover this as a topic today. It feels strange that we're using adjectives like weird and wonderful and randomly hilarious at times and frustrating to describe a funeral. By the way, may he rest in peace. But yes, it is providing a lot of internet content at the moment, a lot of memes, rather unexpectedly. And that's in large part due to the fact that at these state funerals, all of the living presidents, all the living vice presidents, plus their wives are meant to attend, and they are all seated next to one another, okay? And in this particular circumstance, the timing is everything, meaning that because we just came out of a pretty contentious election, to say the least, there are a lot of feelings. People have a lot of feelings, and apparently people have not gotten over those feelings. Briefly, to recap, it's 2024 election cycle in a nutshell. They told us Trump was literally Hitler. We told them Biden had Alzheimer's. They tried to murder Trump on stage. The Biden quit, and then we told them that we didn't believe that he wrote his concession tweet and that it was not entirely unreasonable for us to assume that Biden was actually dead. So then they told us, fine, here's Kamala, and guess what? She's no longer Indian, she's black. Then they tried to kill Trump again, this time on a golf course, and we said, okay, you need to leave Trumpy alone. And surprisingly, that somehow worked. They then left Trump alone, but then instead they came for Janet Jackson. And that was the final straw. So we rose up and we came for Kamala's entire life, her genealogical background dating back to the 1600s. They realized at that moment that they had kicked the hornet's nest, and they tried to cover it up by having Obama speak to the brothers. They had J-Lo crying. They had Taylor Swift doing backbends with the cats. Beyonce's mama. It was a lot, okay? And then Trump won. It was over. But bad feelings, as I said, they can linger. A lot of insults were thrown both ways. I'm not proud of myself. I'm not proud of myself. I'm just kidding. I'm very proud of myself. I had a very fun time looking into Kamala's background and her history, and I liked the conclusion of the election. Anyways, so President Jimmy Carter recently passed away. He was the 39th president of the United States. He lived a very long life. He lived to be 100. We could only hope to live that long. And I should provide you now with some clips of his eulogy. But nobody's talking about the eulogy. No one is speaking at all about what was said on stage. Instead, people are looking at the interactions between all of the former and current presidents and the vice presidents. And the strangest thing to come out of this is that Obama and Trump are apparently bros. Like, they became best friends at some point. They're cackling. Obama's like cackling Kamala style at Trump's jokes. We don't know exactly what it is that he's saying, but we do know that it is generating a lot of memes. So first and foremost, let's just take a look at how angry Kamala is as she looks back and realizes that Obama, who was supposed to get her to the White House with his brother's speech, is actually enjoying her archenemy in life. Take a look at this. This is what's weird, sad music, and they're talking to each other. Look at her, she's so angry. She's so mad. She can't even hold it. That's what I like about her. She's super duper petty. And then you can see the entire time they're just speaking and they're laughing and they're enjoying each other. And so many people are asking online what's really going on given the election cycle that we just had. Here are some of their comments. Russ Walker writes, "Hey, Democrats, they lied to you. They didn't ever believe that he was, quote, orange Hitler. He was never, quote, a threat to democracy. At Jimmy Carter's funeral today, Obama seems to be enjoying his conversation with President Trump. That is very true. This next person, Johnny Maga, writes, Obama in November. Trump is an existential threat to our democracy. Obama in January. And here he is just laughing and enjoying his company. They genuinely look like they're just friends. Clay Travis asks a question. Did Obama vote for Trump too? It's possible. It's definitely possible. Bow-tied Ranger says, it's odd to see the guy who claimed Trump was a fascist, rapist Hitler for 8 years sit next to him and laugh at his jokes during a funeral. And people are imagining what it is they're saying to each other. This next user says he's probably saying, just be honest. She has a penis, doesn't she? And Obama is laughing. Obviously a nod to all the rumors about Michelle, who was not present, not for any particular reason. She was traveling, I guess. So there's no shade there or anything going on, even though people are making a lot out of it. Now, I do want to say this. It is something that is a bit frustrating that they keep Americans rather, at one another's throats, left versus right, with their rhetoric, right? When we are talking about having assassination attempts, the reason that this happens is because they are saying Trump is literally Adolf Hitler. Like, that's where we're at right now in election cycles. Like, we've gone the most extreme we could possibly go to. We were told that he is the second coming of Adolf Hitler. Now they say it's me. They've moved on from Trump. But the point is that what is the purpose of using that kind of rhetoric only to turn around? Would you sit down? Are we supposed to believe that everything in every movie that we've ever seen about Adolf Hitler is just false? And actually, it would be weird if he appeared and everyone who said those things and created those movies just became best friends with him. Because that's the signal that it sends, that you're saying these things to demonize someone and you don't believe those things. Yet you have so many followers and believers who actually do. So it is a little bizarre that they are enjoying each other's company so much, but Trump is very warm with people. And what's also bizarre is that it seems that Obama prefers Trump to everybody else in the Democratic Party. Okay, so next up we have Jill Biden and Joe Biden. And you are going to see that when they walk in, and they are to be seated next to Kamala, obviously, because she's the vice president of the United States, and her husband, Doug Emhoff, they say nothing to her. It's just icy. Take a listen. And also the best part of this is Jake Tapper at CNN trying to instantly spin it.
Started the year as the would-be Democratic presidential nominee, and we all know what happened after that. Again, you didn't see a particularly warm greeting between the first couple and the second couple, but again, we are at a funeral, so one has to take that into account when trying to read the body language of the individuals there.
That is exceptional CIA Project Mockingbird training. He instantly is like, propaganda, what do I say? Okay, they're not speaking. Of course, you could take 5 seconds to wave and say hello. It's a very icy reception. He's like, oh, it's a funeral. It's a funeral. That's the reason that this is happening, not because we have on record the fact that Jill Biden absolutely hates Kamala. She hates Kamala. This dates back to like 2020 when Kamala was running against Joe Biden and she referenced him as racist on stage over his busing policies. And then Jill, being Jill, got on the phone with a bunch of her supporters and basically was like, F her. Like, she actually used the F word, and they have hated each other since. So this has been a long running feud that these women could not work together in the White House. And Jill did not want Joe Biden to drop out of the race, despite the fact that he is, at an advanced stage is what I would say. He's on a mental decline, advanced stage of his mental decline. She's kind of been like the monster behind the scenes, like, no, power. And least of all did she want him to concede and to hand it over to her arch nemesis, which is Kamala Harris. And so there have been various events now where they just completely ghost each other to their faces, act like they don't see each other. And here Jake Tapper is pretending like, oh, it's because it's a funeral. No, they did this exact same thing at the Kennedy Center a few months ago. It is well documented that these two absolutely hate each other. And of course, despite the fact that there's a funeral going on, George Bush Jr. immediately proves that this is because of bad blood and not because they can't say hi to each other when he gives this really weird belly tap to Obama. Now remember, George Bush Jr. and Obama are supposed to hate each other too. Look at this little belly tap he gives him. I don't know what's happening at this funeral. Okay, so it looks like all of these people hate certain people and not other people. But I can say one thing consistently is that the person that I favor the most out of everyone here is obviously Melania Trump, who chose to speak to no one. Okay, watch the way she just glares at Kamala. This is her composure throughout the entire thing. Take a look at Melania Trump. She will forever be my favorite. Melania Trump will forever be my favorite because she just keeps it real. I say this all the time. Melania Trump genuinely suffers from realness, okay? She's not playing around. She looks at these people. She's like, I don't know which one of you guys orchestrated trying to get my husband killed, but she obviously highly suspects that it's probably a person a couple of seats away from her because Bill and Hillary were also there. I'm going to actually show you a clip of them as well. And she's just like not playing the game with any of these people. She's like, I'm not going to say hello. I don't like you. I don't like DC. I don't like politics. She has that Eastern European realness about her. And that's who she is in person. Like I said, she's actually got the best judgment in the White House, in my viewpoint. Of everyone around Trump, I think Melania Trump actually has the best instincts and that Trump should listen to her more often. But I found this to be the most interesting. Bill and Hillary, okay, said nothing, not just to Trump, but they also said nothing to Obama. And I am not, maybe I've missed this, but I am not aware of Obama having issues with Hillary and Bill. So this is really interesting to watch. Take a listen.
I mean, when you think of, and here comes Hillary Clinton and President Clinton, former Secretary of State, former Senator Clinton. There's a lot of precedent there. Shaking hands with the Quayles, obviously with the Gore, with Mike Pence. And it's just, Jonathan and Willie, when you think of what happened on January 6th and seeing the proximity of Mike Pence.
That's just wild to me. That is very strange. I don't know. I don't remember falling out. Maybe somebody in the live chat is going to tell me what's going on. But maybe they tried to assassinate somebody again. Or people think that Hillary and Clinton are behind a lot of assassinations. But I don't remember what the fallout was between those. But it's very obvious that on the Democratic side, there has been a tremendous fallout from Kamala losing. I think when it comes to Obama, the reason why he's being so warm to Trump is because Obama never wanted to get out and stump for Kamala. I think he always knew, his instincts knew that she was not a strong candidate. That was what was being said in the background, is he didn't want to do it, but you're kind of forced to because you're a part of the party and you got to get out there and you have to say a bunch of things. And it actually really hurt his brand. No matter what you want to say about Obama, while he was in office, he was well liked, and his coming out and speaking to the brothers speech actually hurt him. And people thought, okay, you're just a complete and utter fraud. You don't care about Black America. You're in Martha's Vineyard. You haven't said anything for years. Now you're stumping for this woman who's not even Black and speaking to us as if you have a brother-like experience when your entire life was actually spent around white people and white relatives. And I think he's trying to maybe redeem himself and wants his legacy to be put back into place by showing that he can, play ball with Trump and that he actually agrees. He's kind of signaling to America that he agrees that everybody here is a fraud. Now, on the Obama and Trump side, I don't really get it. I think it's a bit strange. I understand people's frustration with seeing this because, again, like I said, what it reveals to us is that politics is all just a show. It's a complete show. They're all friends behind the scenes, except for the women. The women are really on some Real Housewives stuff, but they're all friendly behind the scenes, and everything that they say is to hype the rhetoric, to move other people to be angry and to vote, and in some circumstances to get themselves into a lot of trouble on behalf of these candidates. So it's a reminder to all of us not to take all of their rhetoric seriously, because when it comes to DC politics, everything truly is fake and gay. All right, I want to get to these LA fires because there is a lot that is happening there. You should know who is to blame. First, going to remind you guys about GoldCo because it's officially 2025 and we could be in for a seriously bumpy ride. We've got a new president on the way, but there is a lot of bad news that is piling up. Stock market volatility is back. Credit card defaults are soaring. Global conflicts aren't going anywhere, and the national debt is bursting at the seams. You know the saying, hope for the best, but plan for the worst. Well, that is what I am doing, and that's exactly why I've partnered with the top precious metals company, which is GoldCo. I have personally done business with them, and they are the best. Right now, my viewers will get a free copy of their 2025 gold and silver kit, and you could also qualify for up to $15,000 in bonus silver, possibly even more. Gold and silver have been used as a store of value for centuries and as a hedge against market risk and inflation. So to learn more, go to CandaceLikesGold.com. Again, that's CandaceLikesGold.com. Okay, LA fires. And a lot of people around the world don't really understand what's happening here. I'm going to try to explain it to you. You don't understand why this happens, why this keeps happening in Los Angeles. And what I can really say is I remember when I was liberal. I remember when I was on the left. I had a very surface understanding of how the world actually worked, but I had tons of compassion, right? Compassion to me was education. It had almost like a monetary value, because why would I want animals and people to suffer? Hunting, never. That's terrible. Yeah, I ate meat my entire life, but who on earth would go and kill an innocent animal just for the sport of it? And of course, at the top of my list was also global warming. I thought that was a bad thing. Why would we want the climate to warm at all? I didn't know why really it was a bad thing, but I watched Inconvenient Truth in my health classes. Everybody was meant to in my generation, which was Al Gore's big, like, if we don't save the planet in 10 years, the planet's going to be over. Anyways, eventually I grew up and I read some books that were not assigned to me at school. I would say a great starting point would be to read a book called Inconvenient Facts by Gregory Whitestone and explain things to me. And you realize that you're told a tremendous lie. And yet the people that hold on to these tremendous lies about our environment and our climate the most are the coastal elites, California and New York. That's who we're referring to when we say coastal elites. They become these sort of hubs of liberalism and more importantly, leftism. I shouldn't even say liberalism. People that know nothing, but they're convinced that they're doing a lot of good, okay? For example, there's homeless people everywhere. There's poop on the streets in San Francisco, but at least the straws aren't plastic. Yep, you will get a straw at a place and it will not be plastic because they're saving the turtles. You have students that can't read or do basic math. They can't pass state level exams, but at least they have transgendered teachers that have safe spaces and can go in whatever bathroom they want. That really is your brain on leftism, okay? Animal activists are responsible for the destruction of the animal kingdom. I know that sounds crazy, but it's true. The people that know the least about animals and how they function in the animal kingdom are animal activists. Nobody knows less than them, okay? Learned that when I went hunting for my first time and was shocked that everything I thought I knew about hunters was wrong. It was actually the truth about poachers, whatever. Similarly, I'm going to tell you this because environmentalists are the people that have never really been in the environment. They know nothing about environmentalism, really, and they are unwittingly responsible for the very things that they claim to stand against, destroying the environment, right? And you have animal activists, you combine that with environmentalists, and it's always a disaster because they don't understand how stuff works, okay? I'm going to rewind to you this clip of Donald Trump when he was on Joe Rogan explaining how there's all of this barren land in California and these droughts that keep happening that aren't actually attributable to a lack of water, of course, right? California is kind of surrounded by the ocean, but rather to people with big hearts that want to save little fishies. Take a listen.
I was in the farm court country with some of the congressmen. We're driving up a highway, and I say, how come all this land is so barren? It's farmland, and it looked terrible. It was just brown and bad. I said, but there's always that little corner that's so green and beautiful. They said, we have no water. I said, do you have a drought? No, we don't have a drought. I said, why don't you have no water? Because the water isn't allowed to flow down. It's got a natural flow from Canada all the way up north of water, more water than they could ever use. And in order to protect a tiny little fish, the water up north gets routed into the Pacific Ocean. Millions and millions of gallons of water gets poured. I could have water for all of that land. Water for your forests. You know, your forests are dry as a bone.
Yeah.
Okay?
Dangerous.
That water could be routed. You know, you could have everything. Oh, not only dangerous, billions of dollars a year they spend on forest fires. And, you know, there's a case with the environment. They're not allowed to rake their forests because you're not allowed to touch it. All they have to do is clean their forest, meaning rake it up, get rid of the leaves, get rid of, leaves that are sitting there for 5 years. And
we'll certainly get rid of the dead fall.
And get rid of the trees that have fallen.
Yeah.
So there you have it. You're supposed to have controlled burns. There's supposed to be more water that's flowing in. And none of this can happen because environmentalists are like, no. Don't touch anything. And if you do touch anything, make sure it's to reroute the natural thing to make sure that we're able to protect the fishes. It's really anti-human is what it is. Like, they're willing to let human beings suffer and die, basically, to protect their vision of what they believe is, I don't know, happiness, which is like swimming goldfish or something. I don't really get it, right? And they're learning this stuff in school, but they're learning actually nothing but compassion and emotions, and they are not realist, they are idealist. So what we have on our hands right now, because we are not conducting these, what needs to happen, controlled burns, which are natural, right? Forests naturally burn off things. If there was no human on Earth, they would still happen. And when you have a bunch of humans living around, conducting these controlled burns prevents destructive fires. They don't do this, so now we have the most destructive fire happening right now in Los Angeles history, okay? The Palisades fire exploded to more than 17,000 acres. 17,000 acres with zero containment. It's now destroyed at least 1,000 structures, which, as I said, is making it the most destructive ever in Los Angeles County history. We have at least 5 people that are dead, about 180,000 residents that have been evacuated, and an estimated 2,000 structures that have been lost, okay? There's also the Eaton fire, which is also still ravaging the community, not contained, and that has reached 10,000 acres. So this is like truly a disaster. This is going to go on for months. Right? There are people that are going to have to live in hotels, people that are trying to get evacuated. And when you look at how we got here, the incompetence of politicians should infuriate you. Okay. So much happening. But I don't know about you, but when everything around me is literally burning to the ground, the first thing I think is, well, thank goodness the fire chief is a female and a member of the LGBTQ community. Oh, no, you don't think that? Okay, well, that was kind of what they were focusing on. These are the kinds of politics that you can find in these sorts of cities. Take a listen.
Los Angeles has its very first fire chief, who happens to be female.
The 19th fire chief of Los Angeles City Fire Department. It's pretty incredible. And I don't take that lightly. It's a really perfect position to start and to prioritize that work environment, especially from the diversity, equity, and inclusion side.
And even Chief Crawley admits things were far from perfect in her career.
The eyes are on you, but they're on you just a little bit longer. Just say, can you do the job? It's like, yes, I can do the job, and I'll show you. Somebody would run to the base, and just to make sure that I could throw the ladder. It was a test. So I'd throw the ladder, and then I'd have a little talk and say, you know what? That's my spot. So don't do it again.
Crowley says the key to fixing that is having more diversity on the department, which is why they offer girls' camps and outreach.
It's going to make us a stronger team so we can ultimately serve the community in a better capacity.
And save the community in a better capacity, those ladies did not, okay? And this is what I'm talking about. DEI policies are destructive. It's insane. People are going along with this. I mean, look at the light in their eyes. The fact that the reporter is covering this like it's a good thing. Oh, you're married to a woman and you're a woman. Yay. Everything's great until it's obviously not great. And then we start to see these sorts of headlines coming out. This is the LA Times, that the fire hydrants ran dry as the Pacific Palisades burned. And now they're all playing the blame game. They're pointing around and they're saying, yeah, the hydrants are down. The water supply just dropped. The math isn't mathing, ladies. What's going on? I mean, it's pointedly ridiculous, but at least despite the fact that she's completely failed, we have competent politicians during emergency times like this. Just kidding. No, we don't. Okay. Because apparently Los Angeles also cut $17.5 million from the fire department budget months before these fires broke out. Why? Well, maybe there's a very good reason, and we can turn to Karen Bass, who is the mayor of Los Angeles, to tell us why she signed off on the city of Los Angeles budget with those things taken out of it, with that much money taken out of that budget for the fire department. Okay. Well, we could, except, of course, she decided to last Saturday take an all expenses trip to Ghana, just as the National Weather Service was warning about the coming windstorm, warning that they could be disastrous. She got on a plane to attend the inauguration of President John Dramani Mahama in Ghana. So she just sort of left LA to itself. But the good news is she's back. And when she landed, she was definitely ready. And this is a girl boss, guys. This is a girl boss, Karen Bass. She was ready to take questions from reporters about where she had been. Take a listen.
Do you owe citizens an apology for being absent while their homes were burning? Do you regret cutting the fire department budget by millions of dollars, Madam Mayor? Have you nothing to say today?
Can you back up, please? Appreciate it.
Have you absolutely nothing to say to the citizens today? Elon Musk says that you're utterly incompetent. Are you considering your position? Madam Mayor, have you absolutely nothing to say to the citizens today who are dealing with this disaster? No apology for them? Do you think you should have been visiting Ghana while this was unfolding back home?
You can't even make that up. Does Karen Bass speak English? Like I'm watching this clip going, is there a language barrier here? Is she unable to answer these questions because there's a language barrier? This is who we have running the state of California, truly. Oh, but fortunately, we have a totally competent president. That's okay. Step aside governor, step aside Karen Bass, mayor, go to Ghana, and we have a totally there president of the United States, Joe Biden, who did the right thing, went to Los Angeles, and as they were giving a press conference and he was answering questions about the fire, here's what he had to say.
My son was out here in his way. They got the notification yesterday their home is probably burned to the ground. Today, the parents said maybe he's still standing, I'm not sure. But the good news is, I'm a great grandfather as of today. I was granddaughter.
So in case you couldn't hear, because that was quite low, he essentially is saying that they have help on the way. But the good news is that he's a grandfather again. He got to announce that his granddaughter, Naomi, had a baby at the hospital, that he thought this was appropriate time. People are literally losing everything. Things are burning to the ground. People are being rescued, to announce that things are actually great for him because he got to have another great grandchild. So despite what's happening, be sure that you further congratulate the Biden family, who is, well, other people don't have water, literally do not have water. They don't have internet. They don't have homes. Please keep your focus on Joe Biden's expanding family. This is what we're dealing with in America. And here's what's especially infuriating. I want to say this conclusively about this matter, is that now is going to be the point where they turn to you, they turn to us, and there's going to be all these fundraisers, and they're going to say, can you help so-and-so's house burnt down, blah, blah, blah. And you should, by the way. I'm not knocking these people that are going to be asking for this help. You should. What I am knocking here is that they shouldn't have to ask for this help, because every 5 days, it seems like we are sending billions of dollars to Ukraine, billions of dollars to Israel, billions of dollars everywhere, except when the American people actually need it, right? So if there's a hurricane and they need it, I'm sorry, you guys are each gonna get a $1,000 check. Oh, your house burned to the ground? I'm gonna see if your insurance properly covered burning. If not, you better post a GoFundMe and hope that your neighbors can help. This is what's gonna happen. You can guarantee yourselves that all of these people, when they turn to their own government, who they have been giving, I would say if you're in California, upwards to 55% of every dollar that you earn to the federal government, right? Or to the government, pardon, between the state and the federal, who probably even more than that if you live in California. And when you turn around and you actually need them, you are going to see that maybe if you're lucky, you might get a couple of $1,000s. But as soon as you find a place to live, you better get back to work so that they can tax you again, so that President Zelensky can go to war and bomb people, and Bibi Netanyahu can go to war and bomb people. That's what's so infuriating and so disgusting about it all, is that there's going to be nothing to give these people, and we are going to be asked to come out of our pockets, which we should do, absolutely, but we shouldn't have to because of all the money that is being stolen from us and sent overseas. We don't take care of our own, but we take care of everybody else. And it just genuinely makes me so angry, just so angry to see these people, these frauds who sign in and send our money all the time overseas, but can't help anyone, can't help a single American. Anyways, you guys, we'll stop on that topic. Obviously, we'll continue to follow it, and it doesn't seem like it seems to be getting any better. Want to remind you guys at this moment about home title lock. I don't know if you guys know that American homeowners nationwide have over $32 trillion in equity, and cyber criminals are targeting that with a growing scam that the FBI calls your house stealing. If your title is not being monitored, scammers can transfer the title of your home into their name using a one-page document that they can file at the county. And then they can take out loans against it or even sell it behind your back. This is really happening right now. It's a major scam. The scariest part is you won't find out until collection or even foreclosure notices start arriving in your mailbox. But by then, the damage has already been done and you're left with a financial and a legal nightmare. The best way to protect your equity is with triple lock protection from our friends at Home Title Lock. Triple Lock Protection offers 24/7 monitoring, alerts on any changes, and if the worst happens, restoration services at no out-of-pocket cost to you. You can get a free title history report plus a 30-day free trial of Triple Lock Protection today by going to HomeTitleLock.com and using promo code Candace, or you can click on the link in the description. That's HomeTitleLock.com, promo code Candace, HomeTitleLock.com. Okay, guys, in some happier news, after taking a break, I guess. Meghan Markle is back, and she has released a new Netflix trailer. Now, just to give you the background of this, if you're wondering why she's doing this, it's because she kind of sold her soul to the devil. Obviously, she's always wanted to be an A-list actress. She never wanted to be a princess. I called out from the very beginning. She wanted to be amongst the A-list because that was her life goal, and the talent couldn't carry her there. So she married a prince and then was invited into those circles. But of course, to afford the lifestyle of living in Montecito, to afford the lifestyle of what it means when Oprah Winfrey is your next door neighbor, you got to make some money. And so they decided to sell out their family to Netflix first, obviously, but Netflix did sort of a multi-deal with them, meaning that first they had to appear together, and then they each had to do their own projects. And you might not even know this, but Prince Harry has already delivered on his to Netflix. He did like something about the Invictus Games. I actually didn't watch it or even see it or even cover it, so I don't know how well it did. But for $100 million, it was like, we will sell out our family and we will each do our own individual projects. So Meghan Markle, people have been wondering what it is that she's going to do, because when she first did her Spotify series, and I think that deal was $25 million, Spotify lived to regret it immediately. It was breathy. It was awful. I listened to one episode. It was just scripted nonsense, feminist drivel. It was like, what are you doing? What are you talking about? Having on various women that are super A-list to talk about issues that nobody cares about. I'm not kidding. Like her first episode, she was describing how when she was a little girl, the teacher asked her to write a paper on her dream wedding. And she was like, oh, why? Why do women have to think about their wedding? Who wants to listen to a podcast of feminist dribble like that? I mean, it's just absolutely terrible. And it flopped. It flopped really hard despite Spotify trying to push it. And they realized that these two don't really want to work, okay? But she still has to deliver her pound of flesh to Netflix. That's how this works. You have to deliver your pound of flesh. You want that 100 million. Spotify, I think, ended up canceling the rest of their deal. There was no use. There was no money in it. And this is what she's come up with. It is a new show, and it is, I don't even remember what it's called. It's With Love, Meghan, I think it's called. With Love, Meghan. And essentially the series is about her inviting her friends and famous guests to a beautiful California estate, which is apparently not hers, where she cooks and she gardens and she hosts trips. So it's like, I guess now she's going to be Martha Stewart. And I just need you to sort of just watch a bit of this trailer so that you understand exactly what it is I'm talking about if you haven't seen it already.
Let's make a show.
Let's go. I've always loved taking something pretty ordinary and elevating it. Surprising people with moments that let them know I was really thinking of them.
What? This is probably one of the most glamorous moments of my life.
It's magic. I'm gonna share some little tips and tricks. I see what color I gravitate to, and everything goes from there. And how you can incorporate these practices every day. That's what you want. You want that shape and texture. Come on. This is about connecting with friends. I love that we're doing this together for the first time. Making new friends. That is so good.
We're family now.
I'm just learning. Look at how much honey we have.
Do you believe in love?
We're not in the pursuit of perfection. Woke us all up. We're in the pursuit of joy. Love
I can't take it anymore. Get out, get out, get out. Uncle, make it end. Make it end. What is this? Guys, I feel like I'm a very accepting person. Truly, I want to like something about her. I'm searching for something to like about her. And it's so hard because she suffers from such a rare disorder of being unable to just be a human. Do you know what I mean? I've never seen this sort of. I've never seen someone that struggles to just give us like one strip of authenticity. She wants us to believe that she went from being a D-list actress from a show that nobody that I know watched, Suits, okay, who took her clothes off, was not even a main role, okay, was doing sex scenes, to becoming Martha Stewart in 3 years. Like, this is totally authentic. Because I know other women who are listening to this podcast and totally relate. When I have my girlfriends over and we're cooking, all of us are in full glam. And we're like, it's not about perfection, but then you look at what we've made and it's literally perfect. In fact, just when I make a cake, it looks just like that with my girlfriends. I look perfect. They look perfect. The cake looks perfect, but we say it's not about perfection. Really? Because I feel like it maybe is precisely about perfection, skipping through with honey and bees. Like who are you trying to be? And I just want to know who's around her, because I feel like she needs Taylor Swift's marketing team. Okay. Love her, hate her, think she's a fraud, whatever you want to say about Taylor Swift. She has had a brilliant marketing team behind her. Okay. Why can't she just lend that marketing team to Meghan Markle? Why does she struggle so much with humanity? You know what I mean? Why can't she just be like, hey, if I'm on that marketing team and I'm strategizing, I'm like, hey, here's what we're gonna do. You're just gonna be a person. She's like, what? What are you saying? You're gonna get up out of bed, okay? Your hair's gonna be a little messy, out of place. You're gonna go pick up your kids, maybe, if that's what you do. And we're just gonna try to figure out like who you are. Like, I don't understand why they thought that producing what could only be described as a rom-com trailer. I truly, when I watched this, I tweeted, I thought it was going to end and say starring Drew Barrymore and Julia Roberts in whatever two. You know, like, what is this? It's giving rom-com vibes. The music in the background. Do you believe in magic? Do you believe? What is that? Like, this is just, even when she was giving us reality, she couldn't give us reality, right? When her and Harry were sitting down, it was just so contrived, and it was just so obvious that it was contrived. And I think I understand why it is she was a D-list actress, because she can't even act like herself. And I think it's horrible. And I know that people are going to say, stop bullying her and be nice to her. And why? Why do we have to be nice to her? Why do we have to be nice for a woman who clearly went over to get herself a prince, to bring him back, to give her access to this lifestyle that she would have never had access to based on who she is and how hard she works? Who is now throwing it in the face of Americans? Like, who does this appeal to? Oh, her neighbors are about the people who could probably afford the ingredients and could have a backyard filled with honeybees and skip through in perfect colors and glamorous hair. This could appeal to Oprah Winfrey. I think so. I really do believe that could appeal to her. And basically no one else, least of all in the economy that we're all just coming out of. So I just wanted to say that if you don't like her, it's not your fault. It's because she's extremely unlikable, okay? She has the non-it factor. It's amazing. She's actually good at this. Anyways, on the flip side of that, I also wanted to get to, before we go away, Mel Gibson. Because it's been a long time since Mel Gibson has spoken out. Mel Gibson kind of went away. I would say, you know, he's actually kind of one of the original people who got canceled out of Hollywood for being anti-Semitic. Like, before Kanye West, there was Mel Gibson. You could say, like, Mel Gibson walked so Kanye could run so I could fly. I don't know. There's something going on here. Anyways, no one says that, but I said it. It's a joke that I'm going to pay for dearly on X when one of my Zyobes picks this up. But he appeared on Joe Rogan today because there's going to be a sequel to The Passion of the Christ. And he was speaking about that sequel. They had a fantastic conversation. I haven't been able to hear it all yet. But he did speak about something that Kanye spoke about in his song Jesus Walks, where he said that you're not allowed to talk about Jesus in Hollywood. And now Denzel Washington, who recently got baptized, said the same thing. You're not allowed to talk about Jesus Christ in Hollywood. Well, Mel Gibson was the original person who recognized that, making The Passion of the Christ. He recognized that Hollywood, for whatever reason, is controlled by a lot of demonic forces. And he spoke to Joe Rogan about the pushback that he received making The Passion of the Christ. Take a listen.
Right. So there was two things. There was resistance to the Christianity aspect of it and promotion of Christianity. And then there was resistance to the fact that you went outside the system.
It was outside. Well, I had no alternative.
Right.
Because no major would back it.
Because of the Christianity aspect of it.
I guess, yeah. Well, Rupert Murdoch said, you know, he wanted to. And then he said, nah. And then somebody advised him and said he'd be out of business in 5 years. Rupert Murdoch.
Wow.
In 5 years, if he distributed that, and I was like, wow, if he's scared, I'm like, I'm gonna crash and burn here. But it actually did all right.
It did phenomenal.
Yeah, think about that. You have this actor who was at the top of his game who wanted to create this movie about Christ, and Rupert Murdoch comes along and he's like, I'll do it. But then they're like, no, you'll be done in 5 years if you do this. You can't. This is how much Hollywood hates Christ. Like I've said, read that book, Hollywood Babylon. You will understand it's always been satanic. There's always been satanic players in place, and it was done strategically with an intention. The creation of Hollywood was about countering Christianity in America. It truly was. That is just an indisputable fact about Hollywood, the movies, the cathedrals, particularly the Catholic faith. it is something that was targeted, and that's why people in America are just so married to Protestantism, and they have almost, and I had this, by the way, as a former Protestant, like a knee-jerk reaction to Catholicism. Like, you didn't get those ideas by yourself. Okay, that was a very methodical approach that people pushed. They wanted you, even in your history classes, to hate Catholicism and to associate it with evil in your mind. Anyways, I won't go on a theological rant. Instead, I'm going to show you this other clip of Mel Gibson discussing the sequel, which is The Passion of the Christ Resurrection. Take a listen.
So are you doing this with historians as well? Are you trying to make it? Yeah,
historical stuff. Well, I regard the Gospels as history. It's verifiable history. Some people say, "Oh, it's a fairy tale." He never existed, but he did. And there are other accounts, verifiable historical accounts outside the biblical ones that also bear this up. That yes, he did exist. And the other aspect of that is that all the evangelists, the apostles who went out there. Every single one of those guys died rather than deny their belief. And nobody dies for a lie. Nobody.
Right.
So that's part of what I'm doing. It's like showing nobody dies for a lie.
I just love that. Nobody dies for a lie. There's so many different ways that you could spin that in the context of politics today, of people that are being attacked and people that are willing to be attacked because it's the truth. Like, you don't get attacked that hard because you're telling a lie. You get attacked that hard when you're telling the truth, right? Always. And he's obviously referring to the apostles, but these truths don't go away. That is just, it is so crucial to that understanding. So when you see people being attacked, like even if you go back to the early years of Donald Trump and how vicious it was against him, it wasn't because Trump was lying about the state of things in America. It was because he was telling the truth. And the media is a lie. They slander, they libel. It is Satan's chosen people that are involved in libeling and in slandering, okay? God's chosen people don't slander and lie. Satan's chosen people do that because Satan was the ultimate slanderer. Anyways, guys, I am going to get to some of your comments, but first I want to remind you about American Financing. Because the Fed has dropped interest rates, you should call my friends at American Financing today. Now is the perfect time to consolidate debt, reduce your monthly expenses. I know there's a lot of hardworking Americans that have been forced to use credit cards because of the ridiculous prices right now for groceries, power, childcare even. The debt gets out of hand with credit card rates being so high. However, with mortgage rates dropping, now is the time to wipe that debt out. American Financing is helping homeowners just like you save over $800 a month on average. They're even closing some in as fast as 10 days. And if you start today, you may delay 2 mortgage payments. There are no upfront fees to find out how much you could be saving. So call American Financing today at 800-795-1210. That's 800-795-1210. Or you can visit americanfinancing.net/Owens. That's americanfinancing.net/Owens. All right, guys, I got to tell you, I have a major surprise for you tomorrow. Like major burn down the house, be nowhere else but here. Okay? I'm telling you, because like it's crazy. You're going to think I'm making it up. But you have to be here tomorrow. And that's really an unfair tease for me to say that. Like, oh, I have a major surprise. Like, you absolutely must be here at the show. Watch it live because you're not even going to want to find out later. If you're at work, you just like got to pivot over and be like, sorry, Candace is on. I need to figure out what it is she's going to say. It's insane. It's absolutely insane. Okay. I'm going to get to some of your comments regarding episodes past and this episode as well. Some of you guys are saying Meghan Markle and Kamala are sisters. Yeah. Yes, that inauthenticity we're talking about, I would definitely say they have the same element. Maybe they're related. Pantera writes, did she just turn into a wife? Who are we referring to here? Meghan Markle? Yeah, I guess. I don't know. I don't know what she's trying to brand here. It's very weird. Scarlet Rose writes, I'm searching for something to like about her. Candace, be nice. I am, though. Like, I genuinely am not a hater. Like, even Mark Zuckerberg, I told you yesterday, his hair looks great. And I don't like that guy at all. But he looks more human. He grew his hair out a little bit. He's got a little bit of color. What do you want me to say? And with her, I just really struggle. I just want her to be a person. You know, I want her to stop acting all the time because she's not good at it. And I just want to know who the real Meghan Markle actually is. Regarding Mel Gibson, this person writes, Gibson knows the Hollyweird system. Yes, I think he was early to trying to expose it. He got out and he has been doing independent films since. I mean, he gave us so many huge films when he was an actor. Braveheart, I really loved the movie Braveheart. And then he just got out and it seemed like he disappeared. And I'm really glad that he's back. And I'm glad that he's doing it outside of the Hollywood system because I think that we have to do it outside of a satanic system because it is a system. When you talk about the producers, the contracts, the stuff that Kanye was saying about these like devilish like contracts that people do because they just want to create. And like if you have the creator force in you please don't sign a deal with the devil. That's what I want to say. Like, don't sign a deal with the devil. Like, doesn't make any sense. Like, your talent is God-given. And it's sad that you have people that recognize that talent, try to scoop you up and take advantage of you. And that really gets to the heart of everything that Kanye was trying to say. As I said in the comments yesterday, I said, when you get to a certain level, you realize that Kanye's right a lot, you know? The problem with him is how he communicates. And now that I have a lot of toddlers, I basically think that he communicates like a toddler. He oversimplifies things. He can't deliver his point in a way that is palatable to the public. He says things like literally like my toddler. He just oversimplifies and says something. I'm like, what, you can't just say that? But he actually says that. But I think, you know, at his heart, he was really, truly trying to expose how so many people are being taken advantage of in Hollywood with these contracts. And that happens also in politics. It happens all the time. So we'll see. We will absolutely see. Or the way that he communicates, jumps on stage, he takes a trophy from Taylor Swift, and he says, Beyonce has the greatest video of all time. But what he really is trying to say is the Grammy is rigged. This is not a meritocracy anymore. It's about pushing certain ideals and principles. But what I said sounded so much better than, I'm going to let you finish. Beyonce had the greatest music video of all time. Like, that's Kanye. And I randomly understand usually what he's trying to say. What does that say about me? It's not good. Lastly, we have Sammy. She writes, I work in left-leaning media, and last I checked, my boss said we can't cover or even interview Mel Gibson because SJWs on staff would have an issue with it. Kind of makes me want to start my own thing. Sammy, you start your own thing. Media sucks, you know, go independent. Corporate media absolutely sucks. I think you could do it. People would much rather listen to a voice. I mean, not interviewing Mel Gibson. I would jump at the opportunity. I would literally do backflips to be able to interview Mel Gibson and speak to him about the Catholic faith. Maybe it'll happen. Maybe it is in the cards for me. Somebody in the comments says, Candace, Suits was a good series. I didn't watch it, okay? Wait, I'm glad you said that, though. Now I can finally say something good about Meghan Markle. Suits was a good series. That comes from VG Block. Thank you, VG Block. All right, guys, if you want to support the show, like I said, tomorrow we have a huge announcement. You can head to candace.locals.com. You can decide what you want to give monthly. We're going to need that. We're going to need you guys to be giving to us monthly. We've got some really, really, really big projects that are at bay right now. It is going to be an explosive year for the Candace Show. That is in large part thanks to you guys, the viewers. I want to see what your guys' guesses are, by the way. I got to go through your comments here and see what your guesses are regarding tomorrow's major, major announcement that will plausibly never be topped. I might be hitting the pinnacle of my career tomorrow, which is really sad because it's going to be only downhill from there potentially. Anyways, you guys, we will see you tomorrow.